You ain't gotta worry about that, Jizzle. If somebody doing something better than me and they in pocket, they gonna be right where they need to be, right beside me, baby.
You know what that is, rattling?
I'm the one they forgot about.
Hey guys, it's Chelsea. Before I start this video, I just really want you guys to notice what my shirt says. It says, I work hard so my Dotson can have a better life. True story. Okay, on with the video. Anyway, hi guys, it's Chelsea from the Smart Cookie Files, and today I wanted to do a April wrap-up video to show you the books that I read throughout April. Today I'm going to only feature, because for the Smart Cookie Files for the month of April, I always make sure to highlight and spotlight poets all month because it's National Poetry Month. So every April, the Smart Cookie Files does a just a highlight of all poetry, and so this April I basically bought all of Leav's poetry books, and today I'm going to talk about two of them. The Universe of Us, these are her newer ones, and then Sea of Strangers. So without further ado, here's my April wrap-up of these books. Now with each book, she basically has a theme, and that's why the title is whatever it is. And for the Universe of Us, Leav said that her the theme for this is about the universe, so it's like all about galaxies, like even though the poetry talks about stuff other than that, but it has that sort of theme to it. In the intro, she basically writes that she had a fascination with the night sky even as a child. And then she said, in many ways, this is a quote that I love, she said, in many ways, a book is, in itself, a tiny universe. Each page is like a newly formed galaxy, fashioned from a single pulsing thought. A book travels for days, for years, sometimes for centuries, to meet you at an exact point in time. And I really like that quote because that's totally true. Anytime I've been going through a rough period of my life, or even like in my young adulthood, or even before that as a teenager, I would say, like, I would deal with a lot of like social issues in terms of my social life, where I kind of didn't feel like I fit in, even though at some point everybody feels that way, but it was to the extreme where I actually felt like I was ostracized. And actually because I had to move schools my senior year of high school, after I already had a core group of friends, and I was in a program where like you basically were doing college level work all the time, and you were thinking higher, and basically you were just like always with the same people, that I kind of went into a depression when I went to the new school, and I kind of just didn't even open up to anybody because it just felt like, why should I start fresh when I'm graduating? So I didn't really open up, and I kind of lost out on doing the senior year things that people kind of look forward to in their life. And I don't mean to tell you this so you can like be sad for me, because I actually moved past it. And the way that I moved past it was that at lunch, when I didn't have anybody to sit with, I actually would either write my own books, or I would just read books that I would buy books and then read them, and a lot of them were young adult fiction. And so in that way, that's what this quote reminds me of, that a book always meets you exactly where you need it most. And that for me, especially, one book in particular that I can name would be Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen, because of the way, like, the themes that it had, as well as, like, the character was, like, really struggling, and I just related to that, and, like, at that point, that's kind of what I felt. So it was just nice to feel like I wasn't alone. Even though I felt alone at that school, I wasn't alone. And that book met me exactly when I needed it most. Another, one of the first poems that I really like from this book is Someone Like You, it's called. I'm going to read it to you and then tell you, like, what struck out to me or how this kind of awoke something within me. Do you think there's a possibility of you and I in this lifetime? Is that too much to hope for? There's something so delicate about this time, so fragile. And if nothing ever comes of it, at least I have known this feeling, this wonderful sense of optimism. It is something I can always keep close to me, to draw from in my darkest hour like a ray of unspent sunshine. No matter what happens next, I'll always be glad to know there is someone like you in this world. And for me, this actually represents somebody within my life, but I'm not going to say who. But basically, this person, if they never existed, I basically would have never went on the course of my life that I've been on. They did something really, like, out of the blue, and it awoke I want to say it awoke the star within me. And this person is actually the muse to a lot of my writings that I've written in the past as well as now. And they just made a difference in my life, and knowing that they exist and that they're out there and that they also recognized me and helped me in a pivotal moment in my life and changed my life for the better basically means everything. And so that's what this poem represents to me. The next poem in this book that really stuck out to me is called The Butterfly Effect. Close your eyes and think about that boy. Tell me how he makes you feel. Let your mind trace over his tired shoulders. Allow your thoughts to linger on that beautiful smile. Take a deep breath and try to put those dark thoughts aside. For once, let go of the reins you've wrapped so tightly around your heart. I know you're scared. Who could blame you? Love is a hurricane wrapped inside a chrysalis, and you are a girl walking into the storm. That right there, that last 2 lines, it just was like, that's poetry. That's all I can say about that. It's gorgeous when you can make words sound so musical like that. The next one is called A Lesson. There is a girl who smiles all the time to show the world that she is fine. A boy who surrounds himself with friends wishes that his life would end. For those that say they never knew, the saddest leave the least of clues. For me, this poem, especially recently, we have the death of Vern Troyer, who played Mini-Me in Austin Powers, and I think there was somebody else that recently passed, but basically this is a poem about people that don't feel like there's any hope for them, so they kill themselves. And I mean, you can trace that all the way back, but recently with Vern Troyer, they said that he died of alcoholism, that he tried, like, in his last few days, the reason he was hospitalized is because he tried to commit suicide. And to see someone with his immense talent, and then also, like, that he was successful, despite the fact that he was small in stature, he had a huge personality, a huge presence, and to know that he didn't feel like there was any purpose for him anymore, as well as that he didn't have any hope, just saddens me, because honestly, suicide is never the answer. I mean, that's a cliche nowadays, but it's never the answer. There's always hope for you. There's always somebody that loves you enough that you should stick around, and you should not try to end your life, no matter how bad it is. You just found out that you're homeless. You just found out you have cancer. I know there's a lot of things in this life that just utterly bring you to the pits, but there's always hope. And you should know that you are loved and you matter and you have a purpose. So don't ever leave this life too soon, because it's not that you'll regret it per se, but I just believe that everyone else who knows you and knows of what your legacy could have been will always feel a grief that kind of never goes away, because with suicide, there's never, even though suicide is not the answer, suicide leaves no answers. It actually leaves the people behind that you leave behind without an answer and without a solution to the fact, even though basically the only thing they can do is kind of raise awareness about suicide and help prevent it. But it doesn't bring you back to them, and so you always will leave them with a sense of grief. So you should keep that in mind if you are currently struggling. And actually, because I'm talking about suicide, I'm going to put the information for the suicide hotline if you are struggling with severe depression, thoughts of suicide, or you are having severe anxiety where you do not understand things that are going on in your life, you have no sense of calm, you feel like the only way out is to end it all. And I want to tell you that is not true. Please call the number in my description. Thank you. The next poem is called Possibility of Love. Yes, I think it is entirely possible to fall in love with someone you've never met. Physicality is an expression of intimacy, not an indication of it. And for me, this poem shows that just because you haven't been physical with somebody, or you're not technically ever around that person a lot, or you how else can I say it? You're not even in a relationship doesn't mean that you can't fall in love with somebody. The physicality is an expression of intimacy, not an indication of it. That it's not, it doesn't, intimacy I'll go to the blunt one, but sex doesn't equal love all the time. And this isn't going to be a preaching thing, but I just think that that's what this speaks of, that you can fall in love with someone you've never met. So if you've ever wondered about that, now you know it's been answered by this poem. This poem particularly really speaks to the times, because right now we had the popularity of the Me Too movement, as well as Time's Up, and we are seeing a change in internationally, with women starting to be pulled to the front and recognized as an equal among men, that they shouldn't be treated as less than, that they should be treated as an equal, because we are equals. Whether or not you truly think so, that's the ultimate truth. Whichever, no matter what your beliefs are or anything, that's the ultimate truth. So I will now read you this poem, because as I said, I'm not here to preach to anybody. I'm here to just share this poem with you and share my reaction to it. She has been feeling it for a while, the sense of awakening. There is a gentle rage of simmering inside her, and it is getting stronger by the day. She will hold it close to her. She will nurture it and let it grow. She won't let anyone take it away from her. It is her rocket fuel, and finally, she is going places. She can feel it down to her very core. This is her time. She will not only climb mountains, she will move them too. And that, I don't know if I said the title, but that was Her Time by Leav. All I Want by Leav. I'm not asking for a grand declaration of love. I've stopped entertaining those thoughts long ago. You see, I've resigned myself to where I am now, hanging by a thin, tenuous thread. I can feel it twisting above me, gently fraying, slowly giving way. I'm not asking for promises or tenure. I just want a hand to reach for at the breaking point. And simply, this poem just speaks to the fact that we all want to know someone is there. In our darkest hour, as well as our brightest hour, we want to know that we have someone on our side. We want that human connection. So that's what this poem speaks of, and that's all I have to say about it. I want to plant a seed in your mind, some tiny particle of thought that bears a remnant of me. So little by little, day by day, you find yourself thinking of me until one morning you will wake up and realize you can't think of anything else. And that poem is called Anything Else by Leav. Now with that poem, obviously, it's kind of like this person that always tries to leave small traces of themselves to a person that they adore or they're in love with, and it's just so that they never forget them. It's kind of like the song from Coco, Remember Me. We all want to be remembered by someone or a group of people or even the world. Like, we always want to know that when we go from this world, that we'll be remembered in it and still celebrated as a life well lived. This poem is called Her Love Letters. The truth is, there are pieces of me in everything I've written to you, for you. After all, what is a poet but a composite of her love letters? And as I mentioned in an earlier part of this video, there is somebody out there that I consider to be my muse. And this person, that's what this speaks of too. That everything that you write for that person, it's always because they inspired the piece, but also you hope that they read it and they know that this is how they've affected you. Witness, and it is another poem that speaks to people who write poetry and also writers in general, of any type of writing. This is for you guys. It is the mark of a great poet to write words that feel as though they have stood witness to your most intimate memory of love. And I basically have no reaction to that because this is a statement in itself and I really don't have to add to it. It speaks for itself. This is called Predestined Stars. He and I collided like two predestined stars, and in that brief moment I felt what it was like to be immortal. This is called Moving On, and for me this poem was incredibly powerful to read. It shook me. Leave him. Let him go. Don't be the crazy ex-girlfriend or the shoulder to cry on. You're more than just an ego boost, a story you can tell someone he's trying to impress. Just walk away with your head held high and don't give him another second of your time. I know you love him so much that every step is killing you, but this is the moment you'll always look back on as the day you put yourself first. Go and make something beautiful of your life, and I promise you, one day you'll forget he was ever there. So, in the same sense of the poem Keys to the Kingdom, girls especially, guys too, but girls, if there's a person in your life that is draining you of energy, making you feel less than, not valued, important, move on, because you need to make something beautiful of your life and you don't need him to do it. Let me tell you that. Okay, so one thing I love about Leav is that she always makes it a point to write poetry about the art of writing, about people who write. And for me, that really, that's probably another reason why she's my favorite poet. Because, you know, being a writer we're always going to be that person that's on the outside looking in. We never really feel like we fit in. But then, you know, to know you're part of a community of people who feel the exact same way, that they also witness things, they notice things that other people don't, you feel less alone. And that's what these poems kind of speak to, is the fact that we have a community that's actually larger than we really are aware of. So this is called writing. There's one thing you should know about writing. It will inevitably lead you to dark places, as you cannot write authentically about something unless you have lived it. However, you should always bear in mind that you are only a tourist and must always remain one. You are blessed with the gift of words in order to bring a voice to suffering, but do not be too indulgent, despite how addictive sadness can be, how easy it is to get lost on the path of self-destruction. You must emerge from adversity scathed but victorious, to tell your story and in turn light the way for others. Another poem that speaks to the theme of women's empowerment, and that women have a strength that isn't even recognized by society, but we all know that we do. And we don't need to name call or belittle men to do it. We just need to recognize it and be aware of it and walk in it and proudly hold our head held high, because we are, in fact, goddesses. And that's what this is called, goddess. Have you forgotten who you are? Here's a reminder: you are the giver of light, of life. Do you have any idea of your power? Every time your body bends, the universe yields to you. Your eyes are twin worlds. They send up satellites to orbit, and your skin is made up of the very fabric of time. Look for the light within you. Feel it surge like a river through your veins. Use it to will your dreams into existence. This is called Writers and Poets. We live in a world where writing ages like wine. Sometimes it takes years or even centuries to mature. But if history has shown us one thing, it is the merit of writers who spoke the language of the people, who have taken poetry out of the shadows and into the light. Writers and poets who are ahead of their time. They are the ones whose works will endure. This is a poem for anyone, as I said before, anyone who has a dream in this life. This is called To Dare. Spread your wings, now is the time, to dare, to dream, to reach for the sky. This is the moment you will soar. If you want it now, you can have it all. Others will look upon your grace, and their bitter hearts will cry in spite. The best parts of you they'll try to take to dim the brilliance of your light. And as your tender courage wanes, something whispers to you, wait! Look at them in the eye and say, not today. I'll not let you guide my fate. This is not the day when you'll concede. You have more strength than you could know. This is when you will, if you believe, show them just how far you'll go. And I kind of also think she intended for it to be almost like a play on We the People, because it also speaks to that as well. But this is called We the Poets. Where they destroy, we create. Where they criticize, we inspire. This is why they are the critics, and we are the poets. Basically, that's it. That's all I have to say about these books. So that's my wrap up. Also, huge announcement, guys. The Smart Cookie Files is an official site now. So if you would head over there, check it out. It's now thesmartcookiefiles.com. There's no, it's not a blog anymore. I always wanted it to be a site because it offers book and music publicity. It's not just a book blog, because it always stemmed from me wanting to be a freelance writer and then also be a publicist per se. So that's kind of where they mesh together, and now it's become the smartcookiefiles.com. So head over there, check it out, let me know what you think, and if you have anything positive to say, please leave it in the comments. If you have nothing nice to say, remember what your mother told you, don't say it. Okay. Actually, this is too high, so let me fix this. Hold on. Much better, because I didn't want there to be just of my head. Like, alright.